Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another great podcast, Traditional Investing is Dead. We are honored to have Gordon Charlop. He was my boss on Wall Street, works for a very large broker-dealer firm, has been on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange forever, as you will be able to hear his experience. And he is here today also as an investor in the Family Business Fund. So I just want to thank you, Gordon, for flying all the way down from New York to come give us a visit.
Well, I appreciate that, Douglas. I did fly all the way down here, and boy, are my arms tired. Now, I have to say right from the outset that I am an investor, and so that I have to put all the necessary disclosures in there that I'm a believer in what you do, but also an investor in it. But I do take umbrage with the title that traditional investing is dead. It's not dead, it's just not feeling very well.
And folks, let's get this straight. Of course he's going to say that because I forgot to leave this out. I left this out by mistake. Gordon is the governor of the New York Stock Exchange. And how long have you been on that old, beastly New York Stock Exchange, may I ask?
Old, beastly New York Stock Exchange? I've been trading on that floor since 1990, and my career down in that neck of the woods goes into the early 80s.
But you were on the American Stock Exchange also.
That's where I started, yeah. I cut my eye teeth over in the American Stock Exchange.
So I'm really impressed that you did come here because, I'm a hard interviewer. And traditional investing, I mean, my people here, there's 15,000 of them that are watching this, a whole 15,000. And I believe that traditional investing is dead. And you say?
It's just not feeling very well. But I don't know if you can use a line like my people or your people. I mean, you're definitely crossing that fine line between what's allowed on the podcast. I don't know. But the reason I say that it's not feeling very well is because, well, you look at the current market conditions and what you see is a lot of volatility. And you see a lot of people who don't really understand that markets don't always just go up, that there is risk in the marketplace, that you can have equities and expect that they'll be going up 8-10% a year and look at the historical charts and say, hey, that's what it's been doing, so that's what it'll continue to do. But what has happened in the past is no guarantee of future events, and you hear that disclaimer when you see those kinds of advertisements. And since we have sort of achieved some of these frothier levels, and we've seen certain events, macro events, that have impacted the market, one has to consider going into the alternative investment space. And one of the more attractive investments in that space is the Family Business Fund.
So I know you don't have a crystal ball, but you're on the floor every day, Monday through Friday. And you're watching the volatility, folks. You probably see my hand go like this. When I was on the floor, I was working for Gordon's firm, and I would come down to the floor of the New York Stock Exchange when I needed to talk with him, and he taught me everything I know or don't know about the New York Stock Exchange. But I never understood why one tweet would be able to just make the market go like this and go like that. Now, you've been on there since the 90s. Were there any retail investments back then on there, meaning people like me who have a TD Ameritrade account and will look at the TV and be like, sell, sell, sell? Or was it all institutionals when you first started?
Well, the pace of trading was so much different back then. If you look at the history of trading, it really goes back in Lower Manhattan to the 1600s, 1700s. And they used to trade using the Spanish dollar, which could be broken down into specific little pieces, or what they called bits, which were an eighth of a dollar. So 1 bit was an eighth, 2 bits was a quarter. And that tradition carried all the way through to when I started trading. So you'd walk on the floor, be an eighth for 5,000, 5,000 a quarter, take 5,000 a quarter. Okay, 5,000 trades a quarter, make an eighth, 3 eighths, 5,000, 10,000 a quarter, bit 5,000, sold 5,000 a quarter, another 5,000. Then you hear that all day, every day. It was its own language. So for a retail investor to be part of that, they would have to call up their broker. Their broker would call down to what they would say, to the cage. The cage would then call the floor. The floor would give it to a broker. The broker would go out to the crowd and then get the execution done, and then that process would go in reverse. So it used to take a long time for the retail investor to get their report. And of course, there wasn't any real transparency. And a lot of that changed when CNBC came to the floor.
What year was that? Because
I was
they were
probably-
right next to our desk.
Yeah, well, currently they are.
Yeah.
When they started down there, I guess Maria started in probably like the early 90s. And it really wasn't all that welcome, frankly. There were a lot of guys that, I mean, she was always nice. We've been friends for a long time, but she wasn't warmly greeted by a lot of the old school guys who felt, there was no place for anybody to get in here when we were doing our business kind of thing. We didn't, we did it, and we didn't really want to reveal that to the outside world. But a lot of that traded as people became better educated and understood what was actually happening on the floor, and they could see it. And even today, there's, people still are enamored. We see the visitors outside the building all the time. It's the hub of capitalism. Mm-hmm. It's, the financial capital of the world, even though, it's been challenged of late as, decentral financing comes in and other stock exchanges, etc. So now the retail investor can get in some sort of online account and send his orders to a wholesaler, and then the wholesaler will largely take that risk for him. So it's a different process. I think in many ways better outcome for the small investor than they used to have.
Folks, as I always say, traditional investing is dead, although my friend Gordon Charlop may not believe that, and he sure knows a lot more than I do. I want to thank you for watching this podcast, and we will see you on the other side.